So on skills number 9, they give us some models. And next to those models, they have blank spaces for a fraction and for a decimal. All they want us to do is tell them, well, in this model, what are they showing us? What fraction would that be and what decimal would that be? So let's start with the fractions since they give us that blank space first. I know I've seen models like these before, right? When I see models like these, I know how many spaces or how many pieces they're cut into. How many pieces is this model cut into? If I counted every single one of these pieces, how many would I end up with? Who can tell me? Because I know we've seen these before, and I know we used these before. If I counted every little square in this model, how many would there be? Alexa?
100?
There'd be 100 little squares. So, for my fraction, my denominator, bottom number would be 100. Now, the numerator of my fraction would be how many of those little squares that they shaded in. Normally, with something like this, it's pretty simple. You know if they shade in a whole row that it's 10, and so you can kind of count them quicker. But notice what they did here. They didn't fill up a whole row. They were hoping that we wouldn't notice. They were hoping that we'd be going maybe a little bit too quick. And so we'd count blocks that aren't actually there. So on this one, we're actually going to have to be careful and count them one by one. Let's see how many blocks they shaded in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. And we still have a few left. 55, 56, 57, 58. So our numerator is 58. That means our fraction for that model is 58 out of 100. But I've got to change it into a decimal. Or I need a decimal that would match this. Who can tell me what decimal would match this fraction or this model? They're the same. So what would be a decimal that would match the model and match the fraction? First, if I was going to write the decimal, I know I need a decimal, but in front of the decimal tells me how many whole models they shaded in. Did they shade in any whole models here? Kylie?
They didn't shade in any.
Okay, so no whole models, that means it's 0, right? So what should I write after the decimal, Kylie?
58.
58. If my numerator was 58, that means that the 58 needs to go after the decimal. So 0.58. What's up, Jaden?
I kind of don't get what we're doing. Like, what are we supposed to be doing?
So we
Why?
have.
Why?
Go ahead.
It, it's okay. You can go.
No, explain. That way I could help you.
Like, why are we counting the little blocks and why are we putting 100 and stuff?
So this model, Jaden, how many pieces, how many little squares are inside that model?
100?
That's where we get the 100 from.
Oh, okay.
When we counted the little squares, the ones that were shaded in, how many did we count, Jaden?
58.
That's where we get the 58 from.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Okay. So let's look at number 2. This time, instead of using the big square hundreds models, they use something a little different. They use these smaller models, the tenths models. Now I noticed that from these models, some of them, they shaded in completely. The whole thing was colored in. How many of these models did they color in completely? All the way. There's not even one empty square in that model. Ezekiel, how many models did they color in all the way? No blanks, there's no white space left.
$24.
Not the boxes all together, Ezekiel. How many models are there?
3,
There's 3 of them, right?
right?
Okay. Out of those 3 models, Ezekiel, how many of the models are colored in completely, all the way?
2.
2. So there's 2 full models shaded in, right? Okay. So I'm going to put the 2 on the side of my fraction. If I look carefully at these models here, we know these big square ones, they were cut into 100 pieces. But I don't think they have the room for 100 pieces in each one of these lines. How many pieces are in each of these lines? Jadine?
10.
There's 10. So my 10 is going to go on the bottom. Now, Jadine, we already said they colored these ones in, these 2, right?
Yeah.
How many pieces are colored in on the last model?
4.
4. So my fraction is 2 and 4 out of 10. Now I've got to write the decimal. So Need a decimal. Bella, make sure you're doing your work, not just playing. I need my decimal here. And Ezekiel, remind me, how many models did they shade in?
2.
2. So I'm going to put a 2 in front of the decimal. See how that matches? There's a 2 in front of the fraction, so there's got to be a 2 in front of the decimal. Now, what about after the decimal? What should I write after the decimal here? Kylie?
4.
4. There was a 4 as my numerator, so there should be a 4 after my decimal. 2.4. All right. I think we got time for one more. Let's do one more. Number 3. We went back to the model that has all the little squares. How many little squares do they have in that model again? If I count every single one. Alexa, how many do I end up with?
Wait, the total or how much are
the
shaped?
total. If I counted all of them.
100?
100. So 100 is going to be my denominator. Now, Alexa, it sounded like you had already counted them. So help me out here. If I counted just the ones that are shaded, how many would I have then? Bella, you need to be having this and doing this on your paper.
29?
29. Very good, and I'm glad that you were careful when you were counting. There are 29 of the pieces that are shaded. Okay, so I've got my fraction. I need my decimal now. What should my decimal be? That would match the fraction, that would match the model. Did they shade in any whole models? Was there like a whole square here that was shaded in? Any whole models? No. So there's a 0 in front of my decimal. But what do I need to write after the decimal? 0 point what? Bailey?
29?
29. 29 is my numerator. So 29 is what goes after the decimal.